Welcome back live. We continue right here on the Bordas and Bordas hotline of the Allegheny Health Network Nightly Sports Call. Bob Pompeani, Ron Cook with you. Tweets in. Dennis on Twitter says, Bob, do you and Ron think the Pirates and Neil Hunt resources and the talent and the support of nothing to go all in?
I don't know what all in means. I mean, does that mean trading for Hugh Darvish? No, I don't think they're going to take on that kind of money. But I think they can add an outfielder, maybe a bench guy, a bullpen guy. That's what they do. They added a Marlon Byrd. I'd love them to add a Marlon Byrd again. What he helped them do in 13 when they ended that 20 years of losing, he came in as a rental player, and I think that, they certainly got their money's worth from him. They can find a guy like that would help, but I just don't know that they're going to be able to catch the Cubs. I think the Cubs are a much better team.
Brian Bolton on Twitter says, Gene Collier was right. I'm sick of Marte's act, too. He's talented, but he plays nonchalant. And today it was Marte's misjudged fly ball that was the difference. And, Ron, I know what the rules say. The rules say, well, you're going to call that a hit because he never touched it. But to me, that's a play he has to make. Yeah. He was there, and he didn't make it. Yeah, and you lose a 2-1 game because of it. Those hurt. I thought Trevor Williams pitched a nice game again today. I think he's getting better. I think Cole's getting better. That's why I have a little bit of optimism about next season. If they keep McCutchen, keep Garrett Cole, the young guy should be a year better. You will have Marte. I know today that he might not want him, but I think he is a pretty good player. Matt in Shaler kicks us off tonight. Hello, Matt.
Oh, hey, guys. I was listening last night, and Cook saying, we're so blessed. We're so blessed here in Pittsburgh. Well, I got news for you, Cook. There was a story of a guy who listened to Game 7 of the World Series at his father's grave last year. That's going to be me. Because this small market teams, they don't win the World Series. They haven't since the Marlins.
His column was about everything in Pittsburgh.
Put some until they bring in some players and make trades like teams who actually are trying to win the World Series. I don't believe that they stand a chance. I can't take this team for real, even though I'm addicted to it, until they do that.
He's addicted. You're addicted, Matt.
I know, Matt. Matt is addicted. He's addicted to something. I'm not sure what.
The bottom line is, I just hate the small market moniker. I don't think it's. I think it's a creation of a system.
Kansas City won a couple years ago as a small market, if I remember.
But what did they do?
2 consecutive World Series.
What did they do to do it, though? They went all in.
2 consecutive World Series. And they're back again now. They have a chance to go again. 30 years in
a row without a playoff appearance. See, that's the problem with this system. This system, which these teams support, because they get cha-ching, cha-ching. They make money. They're all pretty profitable. The ones who aren't are the ones who are willing to go in, and once in a while you need to do that and try to win. And that's my biggest gripe with the Pirates. I want to see it. I'm tired of the future. Future, future, future. Let's go out to Bob in Indiana. What's up, Bob?
You sound crazier than Matt.
I'm just saying. It's always about the future. Why not the present once in a while? Let's go to Bob. Hey, Bob.
Hey, thanks for taking my call, gentlemen. Hey, I got a comment and a question for Ron. The comment is, how ironic is it that the whole time people were calling for Polanco's head as bad as he was, and when he went down is when they were winning, and then he goes down and they start losing again.
He was hot.
But I have a question for Ron. Ron, you did the interview I read in the Post-Gazette about Bruno Sammartino. Can you just kind of talk a little bit about where do you rate him? I know you've been around the block a little with different people. You interviewed sports figures, but where do you put him? I mean, that guy is really a sports legend and, a really humble guy. And how do you rank him as far as an interview?
Oh, there you go. Humble and sports legend. That kind of describes him. I spent 3 hours with him last week, one of the great experiences of my lifetime. He's a fascinating man and a fascinating storyteller. I get it that wrestling is fixed. It's not a real sport like football or hockey or baseball, although he'll tell you when he picks somebody up over his head and throws him out of the ring on the cement, there's nothing fake about that. But he's fascinating to me, represented Pittsburgh well his entire life. I wish him nothing but happiness. He's going back to Italy. They're going to build a statue to him. They're going to honor his late mother, which means the world to him. Just, I have tremendous respect for him and admiration for him, and I like him a lot.
Yeah, one of the classier people you will ever meet, no doubt, and it's well-deserved. He should have a wonderful trip over there. Will on Twitter says, guys, trade Meadows, Glasnow with Will Craig, and another prospect for Sonny Gray. See, I'm not opposed to trading prospects at all. Because most of these prospects, I was watching tonight, Ron, the White Sox game, and who do I see come up? Alan Hansen. What's his average? Like 130. After he was DFA'd by the Pirates. And if you go back and look 3 years ago, he was one of the guys who was supposed to be one of the top players in their organization and highly regarded. They could have traded him as a chip. They didn't, and now they had to release him. Look at Glass. Let me ask you, Ron. Glass, now I watched last night. He was terrific again in AAA, right?
Always is.
1.33 ERA this year, and when he comes up here, it just doesn't work. Why?
Well, they hope the light clicks for him. I read a piece that PG did on him a week or so ago, and he said he's figured some things out. All he needs is another opportunity. He'll get it. I listened to what the scouts say. They still rate him high. He's big. He has that downward angle. I'm not ready to give up on him yet, but so far he's had 2 cracks up here, and he's been very disappointing.
Mason in McKeesport is next. Hey, Mason.
Hey, I'm just going to say about possibly the trade deadline. I think the Pilots should try to shoot for a guy like Jay Bruce in New York. I think they should try to acquire him, maybe offer him some prospects. I'm not sure who, maybe Meadows, Glasnow, someone like that. But I think that would really help. Same situation maybe as Marlon Bud in 2013, but it still is going to be hard to catch up to the Cubs now.
It sure is.
Yeah, Mason knows a lot for his age. I'm telling you, Mason,
Bruce makes sense. I mean, he could hit it out of the park. The right field fence, the Clemente wall. I wouldn't mind seeing them get him at all. I don't know that would push them over the top. I think he's a really bad outfielder. But we've seen some, you saw Osuna last night. He's not an outfielder. I don't blame that kid for, he struggled in the outfield. He's a first baseman. Bruce is not very good in the field, but he could hit it out of the park. And the Pirates are, 29th in baseball in home runs? You miss Gong badly. You miss Marte all year. There's no doubt about that.
We get a Rockies announce a trade of Pat Neshek from the Phillies for 3 minor league prospects. Let's go out the line to Eddie in East Liberty. What's up, Eddie? How you doing?
Yeah, hey, Mr. Cook.
Hey,
I was listening to 93.7, and Starkey brought something up I wanted to talk about last night. Yesterday in 1956, Roberto Clemente was the only major leaguer to hit it inside the park. Grand slam, walk-off home run, and that is amazing. And then he's getting Schofield saying, no, no, no. He waves him off. He says, well, what do you mean? He says, well, at least we would have tied. He says, but I wanted to go home, right? So I just thought that was amazing, that hit up the light stanchion out there, and he just runs around the field. I'm only 53, but I wish I would have been 63 to see that.
Yeah, the bad part about that, Ron, there's no video of it.
Yep.
If there had been video of it, it might have been one of those moments that you talk about forever and ever and ever. But
only time in history.
Yeah.
What does that tell you?
How rare it is. All right, Tony and Al, you're coming up next. We got more lines open. It's 412-575-2600 right here live, Pittsburgh CW.